Whoa, we're back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and you see the title, you know the vibes, you know what's coming. We gotta talk about him. That's our GOAT. Let's put some characters on a tier list. Let's talk about my experience with them. Let's glaze, because I'm about to get into some glazing. I really am. Again, let me just start off by saying, so that if you hate my list, you despise it, that I am just one man, but I am mostly speaking from a free-to-play, low-spending priority list here. A free-to-play, low-spending priorities list, and not from the side of someone who is, like, definitively, this is what the meta looks like, this is what the meta can only look like. You can see that I separate my characters into supports, and then the remainders, DPSs, and tactics and support characters who I don't think are support gods. My list is also for B0 to B2 mindfulness, and I don't really put any stock into any other sort of value. Like, I don't really care what your character does at B6. Obviously, Gin does insane things at B6. Every character does insane things at B6. That's why they're B6. Same with Aizen. If you're wondering why Aizen isn't in the top of the list every single time, it's because this isn't full DPS Aizen. Aizen can only become a full DPS at B4. You can see here, B0 to B2, that is always going to be my parameter. If you get a character to B4, if you're a free-to-play player who just saves, and you pull on every time Aizen reruns, and you want Aizen at B4, and you got Aizen at B6, then put him at number 1. I mean, if all of your other characters are B0 to B2, and your Aizen is B6, then obviously he's going to be the best character in the game for you, right? That's how that goes. That just is what it is. But if we're talking about who are the characters filling out a very wide, full account, well, that's what I talk about here. And first off, we're going to start with Ulquiorra, since he's on the left-hand side here. I'm going to say Ulquiorra is right below Bankai Ichigo's buffs here. Ulquiorra is, like, pretty good. He's definitely not the spirit savior, fill-in until Itapa that some people thought. I have tested him a little bit on Limited and so on and so forth. He seems fine, but even as far as, like, Grimjo went, like Grimjo in the case of the SR plus one, I don't think he's up there. That said, we have gotten boundaries for the free ski recently, so maybe he's a quite bit better. I haven't had time to raise my own Ulquiorra. Like I said, I've seen him tested. I've tried him on test runs and stuff like that from other accounts. He's fine. He's fine, but I mean, the Big Daddy is coming in 3 weeks, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. We now do have Bankai Ichigo, and again, I don't have his weapon, so I would not want to test him, showcase him, and be like, guys, this is what Bankai Ichigo can do, if I don't actually have the character, because that would be that'd be misinformation, right? I'd be showing you bad Bankai Ichigo information. It's the same reason why, for a long time, I didn't do Toshido showcases, because I just didn't have access to his weapon stamp. Now I do. Sadly, I think without his B1 or B2, it still feels nice doing double support Aizen, even if Aizen doesn't have boundaries, just because he does so much damage. His ultimate, his rotations are so, his rotations are so set, and he's able to sort of pack it himself. But we obviously know that Toshido at B0, B1, B2 is still a top tier DPS, right? So it's not like a huge deal. Sorry, I clicked out. So as we go back here, let's talk about Big Daddy. This guy, it has blown me away. Completely blown me away. I think we could talk up here, up here, up here. But say conservatively, I'm going to say right here. And the reason I'm going to say right there instead of up here is purely because Mayuri still fits on more teams. That just is what it is. Mayuri is completely necessary to the game of Bleach Soul Resonance right now. Ailment Soul Resonance, as they call us, ASR. The reason why is because there is just no one even close to competing with his crit damage support viability across multiple characters, across multiple teams, across characters like Kenpachi even, who is on Slash, obviously. He is unmatched in his value. I know you're probably thinking like, well, this is supposed to be about white Ichigo. Why are you talking about Mayuri so much? Because I need to set the stage. I need to say that all of those words so I can set the stage for this guy is actually fucking absurd. I cannot believe how powerful this character feels at B0. I have not really gone out of my way to say, like, you have to pull a character. You must pull a character. You must not skip this character. So on and so forth. I think I said with who would it be? Nellel? Nellel, I said, she's our first major celebration character. You should pull Nellel. This guy is every bit of that, but even more absurd to me. I cannot believe how good this character is. I cannot believe that I don't have a boundary in this guy. His experience using this character, his fullness of kit is so crazy. Because if you notice here, this is damage, and this is also damage. So what ends up happening? So let's think about that. Kenpachi, this literally makes his rotations work, because it means that you only need to do one special attack, and then you have his ascended technique. We can go here. This literally gives him 5 more killing instinct. It directly affects his ability, right? Soifon. This gives her a huge amount of ult, charge, and cooldown, as well as a much needed crit rate buff, which makes her much smoother to play, much easier to gear. Obviously, Mayuri is a GOAT. And this, while it is damage, and while this is also damage, what this gives her is the ability to go into her ultimate in 1 rotation instead of 1.5 rotations, right? Hollow Ichigo. Also, I would go down to Aizen and say the same thing, by the way. This is invaluable because it gives him the ability to start spamming out his battlefield skill. Hollow Ichigo literally doesn't have that. He doesn't have any of these things that directly affect how he releases his abilities. While instinct is activated, you get more damage. You get more battlefield skill damage as well. 2, increases special attack damage. After releasing special attack, more damage. Are those things important? Yes, they are. They are damage. They will make number go higher. But this is one of the only times we've seen a tactics character have a full, complete rotation, full, complete kit, full damage, full. He's like a finished character the moment he comes out. I cannot, in good conscience, even contend with the idea that you can skip this character. B0, this guy is so good. He's so good. And on top of all of that, not only is he a character that uses up on-field time, he's a character that can play the back just like Kenpachi. So when a new Slash character comes out, this is really selfless. This is extremely selfless. This is an extremely selfless ultimate. The fact that he just attacks while you swap out makes him so selfless. He is so easy to swap in and out. He is giving some of the highest amount of counterattack support we have ever seen. And we just got Soifon, so this number right here, this big boy right here, like it's only really matched by Soifon, I'd say. And I think in a lot of regards it's outdone just slightly it's outdone. Maybe it's the same, but if it's not the same, I think it's slightly outdone. I feel like I am counterattacking all of the time with this character. You are just counterattacking all of the time off of cleaving throw, by the way. And it's just, I mean, obviously the damage is reduced here, 50%. I mean, what is Soifon? The Soifon's more. It has to be, because it's so much, right? Like, that's about the same, 50%. Yeah, that's, so for me to feel like it's like he's just doing it more, it's crazy. It's like, it feels like we have definitely power crept the amount of times we can give characters free counterattacks here. But even still, it's close. At the very least, it's close, if not like more. Like, it is really good, right? There's just no flub in his kit. Really, truly, there's no flub in his kit. I can't even begin to think of I don't know. I can't even think of a version of the character where he's like, this is like, I don't he's just so good. I don't know, he's so good. His core stamp is also amazing, giving 50% crit damage when he's in Bankai. He's getting crit rate for his ultimate as well. He's getting that. Like, what are we talking about? Right? Like, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I just think he's really good. That's really the long and short of it. I think he's really good. I've seen huge explosive numbers, and my gear is not all that. No attack percent here. No slash damage here. Crit rate, but it went into defense twice here. Went into HP twice here. And with all that said, I'd still call him an absolute monster. I don't see anything but the most bang for your buck character in the entire game. I hate to say it. Outside of Mayuri. I actually just don't think anyone is competing in that realm. I don't know. Because I think of Nellel at B0, and I'm like, that character's okay. I think of her at B1, and I'm like, that character's really good. And then I think of her at B2, and I'm like, okay, nice, you know. But she hasn't rerun. If you're a free-to-play player, you've never seen this character, right? You've only seen this character in Myth and Legend. She hasn't rerun. So as a free-to-play player, even if you got her B0 and you're like, okay, in the future I'll pull for her rerun, then when are you doing that, right? Same with Aizen here. Aizen's rerun a ton, but if you haven't pulled on any of those reruns, B0 is probably not even, I don't think he's close. I mean, you could, and here's the thing about Aizen, right? Because you could make the argument, okay, well, if you put Aizen on a double support setup, then, you know, you could wank him and have like a crazy, you know, you could have him doing crazy damage, like comparable damage. So say you put him on something like this, but then, you know, you put double support. And even then, Aizen in this setup literally does 30 million damage ults. I'm not going to take that from him. This is like a 30 million damage ult setup. But if you're not B1, then you're not doing your battlefield skill all that often. If you're not B2, or even if you are B2, now you're missing out on spiritual damage from a spirit type unit here because you're using a double support, which could be fine. I'm not saying it can't be fine because it is buffing Zaya Lapido. But the long and short of it is, this is not this is a compromise. This is a solution to the problem of the spirit team's sort of inefficacy without Aizen main DPS or Toshido dupes. If you have both, if you have either of those things, then this doesn't, you know, apply to you. If you have Toshido dupes, fine. If you have Aizen dupes, fine. But if you don't, I just don't see this character as being near the absolute train, the monster that Hollow Ichigo is. I don't know. Maybe I'm overdoing it. Maybe I'm glazing, but I don't know. I'm just really impressed by him. Full stop. I just am. I don't know what else to say. Is there anyone else I want to swap here? I like all these positions. I really do. Maybe I want to move Soifon up one. I think Grimjo, actually, Grimjo is so strong. He really, really is so strong. Especially if you don't have multiple dupes in if you don't have multiple dupes in Gin. But it'd be something like that. Like it'd be anywhere like here. I don't want to make anything too drastic where it's like, oh my god, Aizen dethroned or anything. But I do want to move Soifon up because of Grimjo, who is just extremely powerful in the low dupe range. I want to move Kenpachi up. I don't want to move Kenpachi up. I don't want to move Kenpachi up past Gin because I do still think that the combination of actual synergistic details in Gin, Mayuri, and Nellel's kit means that Gin is just a special boy. He is wrapped and swaddled in the single still best setup in the game to me. It would be hard for me to, with everything said, it's hard for me to call any team better than the Thrust team at low dupes. I think I've heard people say at B6, Kenpachi does edge other characters. He starts to edge other characters. I've heard, though, that if you're running a full B6 account, that Gin is still kind of a monster because he's just so synergistic with everything around him, right? It's hard to it's so hard to compare to the synergy of Gin, Nellel, and Mayuri. Full stop. Full stop. It is so difficult to compare to that. Is anyone else here notable? I would actually say, you know what? Here's one. I'm gonna move Bankai Ichigo up to the top of S tier. I think he deserves that. White Ichigo fixes a lot of his problems, solves his problems, what have you. In fact, from what I've seen, I would actually like to move Bankai Ichigo up here. I don't want to put him over Urahara. I really don't. I'm sorry, Bankai Ichigo fans. I just don't. I don't want to move him over the support, and I don't think that he's more valuable than any of these DPSs. But I do think he deserves to be in double S tier because his buffs with White Ichigo do boost him quite a bit. Whereas these characters are all sort of secondary assets. I don't think Bankai Ichigo is a secondary asset anymore. I think he is a main contending asset. I've seen him do great things in comparison with Kenpachi already. But without dupes, without multiple dupes, without weapons, stuff like that, I do think that as a kit, as a synergistic kit, as a full play style and kit, he is a little bit weaker than the other DPS still. Mostly because Toshida got buffed and he's just actually absurd. Kenpachi has just continued to be absurd. I think Kenpachi has the... Let me look at everybody. I'd say that Kenpachi probably has the... I mean, it's in a row. He has the third best mechanics, I think, in the game right now for DPSs. Pantera and Gin. Gin probably has the single best synergistic mechanics with his supports, so Nellel and Mayuri. I think Pantera is right up there. He just does not have a support. And then I think Kenpachi falls into that space. Toshido is a monster. I never want to understate Toshido because I think a lot of people are hating on him. Obviously, he's going to get bumped by Ulquiorra soon. So I don't want to be a part of the bandwagon who's like, oh my god, Hitsugaya is just bad. He's a worthless. He's not. He's insanely good. But the thing about Hitsugaya that has been so unfortunate is at no point in this game's lifespan, at 0 points in this entire game's lifespan, has Hitsugaya had a synergistic setup outside of when he was literally using Rukia. I think the moment that Aizen dropped, Aizen was better off playing with Gin than he was playing with Toshido. The only time that Hitsugaya has had a actual synergistic setup is with Rukia when the game first launched, right? I'm not saying that he can't use other characters. I'm not saying that he hasn't been good with Aizen and Zaya Lapido on a spirit team. I'm just saying that his synergy was lied in a Rukia team, which is why I've said time and time again, I hope Rukia, when TYBW Rukia releases, I hope she is the best tactics character in the game. I hope they do power creep Aizen, but I hope she's the best tactics character in the game when paired with Toshido. I want it to be very obvious that she is power creeping the other tactics characters, at least slightly, because we do want power creep. We do want characters to be strong. But I hope it becomes a team building thing where it's like if you have Rukia, TYBW, then Hitsugaya explodes off the screen. And then with everyone else, she's just really good. Kind of like Zaya Lapido, right? Where Zaya Lapido is better than Urahara off color, but he's like so much better when he's actually on a spirit team. I think that's what Hitsugaya needs more than anything. He needs synergistic complements, because right now, I think this character literally has never had an environment where he has been the focus. With Aizen, it was just that Aizen did a bunch of shit, gave counters, gave this, gave that, but Aizen's greedy. Hitsugaya is not a character who can afford to be selfless. Aizen can do everything. Kenpachi, Gin, and Pantera are just gapping the other DPSs when it comes to their selflessness, and it matters. It matters a lot, because the best outside of Soifon, who is the most selfless tactics character still by far, there's just too much time on the table. And while Pantera is gapping Hitsugaya on selflessness, and Pantera is meant to be a greedy on-field character. Do you understand? Like, that's how bad the synergies for Hitsugaya have been, which sucks because he's one of our oldest characters at this point. And I don't want it to say like sucks is like, you know, I want to repeat. I don't think he's bad at all. I just think that he has had the least amount of help to succeed. Like he is by far the least likely to succeed character in this row, right? But I do think he's powerful. I do think his buffs are really meaningful. And yeah, I think that's the list. So you can go ahead and snapshot that. That's what I'm feeling right now. Mayuri is just the most important character in the game. Really quick run through. He still just belongs on too many teams for me to dethrone him. Though I think if I was like, okay, power vacuum, if I wasn't thinking about teams, I think this character is literally the best. But I love White Ichigo. Soy Fawn is moving up because I think her relationship with Pentetta Grimjo is just way too powerful. Nello's moving down, not because of her actual power in a vacuum, but just because I think that without her double ulting, without her having Gin at level 6, without her having Mayuri, I think she is just in a vacuum less powerful than these characters. But I think the thing that makes her better than like an Aizen character, and what could make her like here for me, is her synergy with Gin and Mayuri, which is still just the best, most well-rounded team in the entire game. Full stop. It still is. It's just has all of the pieces. It's the best. Another reason that she moves down is because I think that the Pantera and Soifon team take Mayuri from her, which just has to happen. Which means she has less access in events where you'd run them with her main team. And it's because the Gin, Nelel, and Mayuri team is so synergistic that you can just end up running it on Giku or Kisuke, and you get a you know, bomb of a team anyway. So I don't know. It's a lot of complicated feelings with Nelel because of the case of Mayuri needing to go elsewhere, and I think her just being, she gives less counterattacks, and she only really works with Gin's like damage type. So Aizen, if you have B4 Aizen, disregard this entirely. If you got B1 Aizen and you have B0 Nelel, then you can move her here. If you have B1 Aizen but you don't have Mayuri, you can move from here. If you have B1 Aizen, B1 Nelel, you know, no Mayuri, you could probably still move from here. I just think that Aizen, when people talk about Aizen's power, they typically mean in relation to full DPS, double support Aizen, and that is just not a role he can fulfill. That said, he still is a absolute support bomb, goes on multiple teams, helps with all content. He's Aizen, you know, it is what it is. I have nothing negative to say about Aizen other than at B0, I think he's worse than these 4 characters, which is true. I don't think that's like a big thing to say. The reason Zael is behind him, even though you could say that, well, at B0, he's giving a ton of support, so why isn't he above Aizen? I think because he's like more limited. Aizen just does a little bit of everything, and while this character essentially does end up being a Urahara replacement if he's at an off-color team, you just never see him doing that, right? Right? Like, why would you run this character when you could split your resources up differently, right? So it ends up being like you're going to run him on Spirit, and his team doesn't exist without Aizen, so it is what it is. Grimjo is probably the single best DPS in the game at B0, B1. That's it. His synergy with Soifon and Mayuri is way too good. Gin, same reason. If Grimjo wasn't here, he'd be the best. Probably even over Kenpachi. He's too synergistically linked with Mayuri and Nelel for to even be a discussion. That is the best team in the game still. Kenpachi is going to be the best DPS in the game, maybe, once he actually gets the support. It'll depend on whether he gets a support first or Grimjo gets a support first, but whichever of them get a support first is going to be the best character in the game, or best DP in the game. It's gonna be these two fighting it out like this, based on who gets the actual support, because right now, Mayuri is not an actual strike team support, and Urahara is not a good enough support for Kenpachi. And I've already talked at length about the rest of these, so yeah, that's going to do it. I'm going to say that's going to do it for now. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully, this tier list hasn't boggled the mind and upset you. I really don't mean it to. Remember that these are all taken at B0 to B2, with a preference for talking about their B0 performance, rather, because that is the most free-to-play realm we can get into. But yeah, I've been Lone. Like the video, subscribe to the club, we'll go make it, and peace.